Hello and welcome back to Introduction to Physics. Today we're going to do a lab on simple machines. So if you will go to Canvas, Modules, Labs, Unit 1 Labs, and then once you've opened up that document, down at the bottom, click on the tab that says 1.9 Machines. Okay, so that's the lab that we're going to be doing today. Okay, so first I would like for you to read the concept introduction. Done? Okay. And then you're going to answer the pre-lab questions. So purpose of the lab, find that in the lab and then copy and paste it. Safety instructions for this lab. Okay, there really isn't any. Define what a simple machine is on question 3. Question 4, write down what the formula for work is. Question number 5, explain how a simple machine operates. Number 6, don't do it. So number 6 is the efficiency of a machine, and we're not going to bother to do that. Okay, so now let's go down to the lab itself, and we're going to begin by talking about the ramp. Now, since you at home will not have the apparatus to be able to do this, you're going to do a simulation on the computer. So you're going to go to Google, and then you're going to type in Compass Project inclined plane. So the Compass Project and then inclined plane. And then when you go there, you're going to see a picture of a inclined plane, and then underneath it you've got a whole bunch of sliders so that you can change the length of the ramp by moving the slider up and down. You can change the height of the ramp. You can change how much does the box weigh, so that's going to be the load. And then I would keep the friction at 0. So don't change the friction. Keep it at 0. So this is going to be an ideal ramp. It's not going to be a real ramp because real ramps have to have friction. Okay, then you're going to notice that you have the applied force. Okay, and currently it's at 0 because you're not pulling on the box. So click on, under measurements over there to the side, click on the box that says applied force. Okay, so now you can see how much of a force you're going to be applying to that brown box. Okay, so you're going to click on the button up at the top that says play. Alright, now put your cursor on the brown box, and I want you to slowly begin pulling on it. Now when you pull on it, you'll see that under measurements, in that thing that says applied force, there's a green bar. Okay, now as you increase the amount of force that you're applying to that box, you see that that green thing is increasing. So you're applying more force in newtons to that box. So I want you to keep doing it until that box slides. So keep increasing the force on that brown box until it begins to go up the ramp. Okay, and as it's going up the ramp, write down on a piece of paper what was the applied force. So how many newtons of force were you pulling on the brown box with the instant it started to move up the ramp? Okay, so now you can go to the first set of boxes there in your lab and write down the length of the ramp, write down how much applied force, that's the force pull, that you needed to apply. So the force pull in the lab is the same thing as the applied force. So you're going to write down that number. Okay, then you've got the height of the ramp. You can write down that. And the force of gravity in the lab is the same thing as the load. So what was the load? How much did the brown box weigh? Okay, now that you've got the length of the ramp and the force that you are pulling up the ramp with, multiply those two numbers together, and then that's going to be the work that went into the machine. Okay, then multiply the height of the ramp times the load, the force of gravity, and that's going to be the work that came out of the machine, and write that down. So how do those two works, how do they compare? They should be the same. So that the work that goes into a machine is equal to the work that comes out of the machine if there's no friction in it. And so those two numbers should have been the same. So the way that you do a simple ramp problem is normally you're going to be given 3 of the variables. So normally you know what the length of the ramp is. Normally you know what the height of the ramp is. And normally you know what the weight of the box is. So you know what the force of gravity acting on the box is. And so what you do is you take those 3 numbers and you plug it into the formula. Length of the ramp times the force that you need to pull on the box has to equal height of the ramp multiplied by the weight of the box. So you're going to take your data, put it in there, and then you would solve it for how much force do you need to pull with. So that's the way that you would normally handle a ramp problem. Okay, but in this particular case, you are given all 4 of the variables, and then you just multiplied them together to figure out what the work you put in and the work that came out, and hopefully it should have been the same. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about pulleys.